This is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2, the second Modern Warfare 3. We're here on Xbox One because I thought, hey, that might be fun. I got it up. Let's take a whirl and see what it has to offer. This is the only review you'll be getting from me on this one, so we'll just briefly talk about the multiplayer. You know, a bunch of remade maps taken from the original Modern Warfare 2, shoved into this one, whatever. So let's talk about the campaign and dive into the action. Is it time to upgrade? Yeah, I'd say yes, it's about that sort of time. So this story continues the events of Modern Warfare 2, where you've got, Price, Soap, all the team going up against Makarov in a battle of, like, wits and, I don't know, discussion. And anyways, so yeah, visually this one is interesting, to say the least. It's definitely a fascinating experience. I mean, it works, I guess you would say. So what are we getting here? Apparently it's like a 900p like threshold, so it's dynamic resolution scaling, and it's like, you know, it wants to be 60 FPS. It really does. And yes, the floor textures have not loaded. So a lot of the time it dips like well below 60 FPS, and there's lots of like visual bugs. There's certain scenes where the crowd, yes, the crowd, why do I have grenades? The crowds you come across literally are people missing arms. It's genuinely entertaining. It's like, why are these people missing arms? Usually I have C4 when I do this. Why do I have frag grenades? Oh well, it is what it is. We're fighting in like a murky desert, I think. I don't know, actually I think we're supposed to be in an industrial area if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, kind of what they've done here is they've ripped. This is like by far the laziest and shortest Call of Duty campaign they've ever done. So they've kind of ripped the maps or the areas from Warzone, and they've shoved them into like a kind of really lazily thrown together campaign where you have to like gather pieces of armor, like you have to have your safety vest in order to survive the attacks of enemies, and you die really quickly no matter what you're on, and it's like the enemies have really good kind of aim and accuracy, which is a bit weird. But anyways, it's kind of like a really silly campaign where there's no emotional impact or context into what happens. You just kind of go through it, and then it kind of ends, and you're just like, oh, that was really bad. Oh, and if you die on these useless missions, they're called, like, open combat missions. You literally, like, restart the level because we forgot about what checkpoints are, apparently. So that's always fun. But it does make me ponder. Oh, and the loading on the Xbox One. Oh, the loading. Okay, so I love frag grenades, but, like, C4 is kind of what you need for this mission. A smoke grenade. Yeah, what's a smoke grenade gonna do? Mildly inconvenience the enemy? Anyways, I wonder if the ground textures will load this time. Like, I mean, it's kind of amazing it runs on the Xbox One at all, I guess, but it is so funny. Just okay, I want to go back to like, okay, so there's this like mission where you're like running through like where all these civilians are, like this crowd of civilians, and like they didn't have arms. All of the civilians, they were running. Their arms would like load in as they walked by you. It's really funny. Like honestly, it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, you just get like these really horribly developed like missions. Like I wouldn't call like any of this really fun to play. It's like they've just sucked the life out of like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and just in general, like, you know, we've gotten some like pretty good campaigns over the years. We've gotten some pretty cool efforts. You know, I've liked a lot of the campaigns that we've gotten from Call of Duty. I think they've actually been pretty creative, and they used to set like the standard for like shooter games in terms of like combat and gameplay. And you know what? Like the Xbox One, it's old, right? Like this is ancient. I'm not expecting this to run perfectly well. I mean, I'm kind of amazed it runs at all. It's so like kind of glowy and stuff like that. Like the resolution scaling is giving it its all. You can definitely tell that for sure. Like they're trying its best, and they throw in all this film grain on it. It looks like to just try to help with a little bit of hiding that aspect too. But yeah, she's rough around the edges. That is a bit of an understatement. Because like the floor texture literally isn't even loading. If you've ever been looking for an excuse to like, you know, kind of go for like an upgrade, and you know, Call of Duty's kind of your big thing, I would say this might be the indicator. I mean, I didn't really check this out. Xbox. Well, did I? I can't remember. I think I filmed it on the Xbox One version. I never did anything with the footage. Because it's like, I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm doing comparison shots, and I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of funny to do a review of this one and take a look at it and talk about it. And yeah, it's hilarious. What am I doing with the SAM turret? Who am I fighting with? Like these missions. Who are these missions for? Honestly, it's just so lazily thrown together, and they've taken characters that we love, and it's just like it's so. I guess the best I can describe it is it's so half-assingly done. It's unreal. Like I really do ponder, you know, like who's this for? Why is this like this? And I'm like, I try to skip the cinematics between the missions, and like it takes so long. like it is crazy. Like that's definitely how they're hiding all the loading. But like, yeah, I don't even think the Warzone necessarily runs perfectly well for like the Xbox One as is, and then like you're taking all these missions that exist from that and just kind of like really lazily throwing them together in this is a recipe for a nightmarish disaster. I can't use my SAM turret inside of here? That's ridiculous. Oh, hello there. So yeah, the multiplayer portion of this has some promise, I guess. If you're coming for the Xbox One, you're playing the campaign. The best I could say is like, you know, it does function, you know, and it's like the whole world geometry-wise is here. And I'm assuming if you're on the Xbox One still, for whatever reason, you're used to games running and looking like this. And I don't know if it looks better on the YouTube player than it does gameplay-wise, but yeah, she can be really rough around the edges, I gotta be honest with you. Especially some of the scenes, like it's hard to, because I actually did check out a few of the levels and stuff to kind of take a look at this on the Xbox One version. You know, because I played on the Series X, and I'm like, you know what, we'll take a look at the Xbox One version, just because I'm doing some comparison shots. And, yeah, it's quite a world of difference, I gotta be honest with you. Like, there's some scenes where, like, there's, like, these big light flickering things, there's some stuff that just kind of, like, again, it all works, but it doesn't really, like, work, if that, like, it's not great. But I mean, it's not bad for this. Yeah. It's not bad for this. Like, the characters, they're lacking a lot of details in both situations and whatnot. It's like rough on the big 4K, you know what I mean? Very, very rough, but I'm not surprised. Oh, it's funny how that does that loading thing. And then you've got these intensive cinematics. Like, these ones obviously are gonna look good. I'm not surprised that these look good at all. Like, that is totally expected that these cinematic bits are gonna be, like, you know, visually as good as they get for the resolution output of the particular console. This level should be really, really interesting. This is why I picked these two for my review type scenarios, because I think these two missions together are actually quite interesting, and they don't really spoil things too much, as to say, and they kind of give you a little bit of the setup of the stakes of the mission. But I'm checking right now, because I'm trying to skip the cinematic, and it doesn't really let you tell this thing's loaded. Believe it or not, that last mission with the textures being like they were, that was loaded in. Oh wow, we're actually getting to this point that looks like it's gameplay. You know, that's interesting. You know, I kind of assumed it was the console rendering this, but I think these cinematics are rendered on a... That's kind of funny, because I'm like, when I was first playing this on the Series X, I assumed that these cutscenes here were actually being rendered in the game, but this is far beyond more impressive than anything else I've seen on the Xbox One version. So those are definitely not... Those must be, you know, like pre-rendered cutscene stuff there. That's kind of funny. So, let's let's dive in and begin our stealthy-like adventure, I guess. Here we go, Price, it's you and me. But anyways, the story itself, like, I've gone on about it, but like, it's really just terrible. Like, the design of it, like, it really, to me, it doesn't even, oh wow, this is actually, like, all the stuff is blurry, like the textures. Like, I guess they don't matter because they're in the distance, but this is actually like a really pretty level. Oh, you don't even get it's like much grass texturing. Okay. This is actually usually a really lovely looking level when you play it on the Series X, honestly. I mean, it's all here. Like I said, the geometry and everything like that, it's all present. It's just like, you know, it looks ugly, right? It looks like a muddled soup. Oh, yeah, man, I'd love to see this one on the Switch. Whenever I play on the Xbox One, it just reminds me of the Switch these days, which is like miracle ports, am I right? Yeah, anyway, story-wise, it's just like these nonsensically thrown together missions that I don't think really progress the narrative of the overall Modern Warfare franchise. Like, Modern Warfare 2 I didn't think was anything, like, spectacular for its campaign, but wow, it looks like a golden child up against this one. This is Call of Duty at its kind of like roughest, if that makes sense. Like, story-wise, outside of visuals and everything like that for the Xbox One version, story-wise, this is just really horrendous. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me. It's really poorly and hastily thrown together. It's lacking a lot of like the quality of the experience that this series is typically known for. And I'm not going to act like every single one of the campaigns in the modern era is spectacular. I think 2019's actually is really, really good. Honestly. But not going to act like they're all like these spectacular masterpieces or anything. But, you know, they're usually pretty good campaigns. They're usually a lot of fun. I have a good time playing them. You know what I mean? I think a lot of other people do. And this is like one of the first times where I sat there and I was like, this really was not fun to play. And it was short too. Like, the whole thing, I finished in like, I think it was 3.5 hours if I didn't have some silly deaths in this stupid apartment level. Oh, I hate that apartment level so much. What are you vibrating for? There's nothing even here. If I didn't have those stupid like deaths in the apartment, I probably could have finished the thing in about 3 hours, honestly. With the cutscenes being watched, not skipping anything, and just like playing through it at like a regular brisk pace. I was like, this is ridiculous. So it doesn't feel like they really... Yeah, how's the scout drone gonna help me in a situation like this? But it just, like, it doesn't feel like there was much effort. It feels like it was really just hastily thrown together. And they're like, okay, we need to get a COD out as fast as we can. Let's get the Modern Warfare team going, you know what I mean? Like, let's get the squad going and just we'll throw it in here. And I'm very, very curious to see how Infinity Ward course corrects when they get their crack at it with Modern Warfare 4 down the line, because I mean, obviously this is gonna continue down the line, right? Because this is Sledgehammer's split off effort. But the big thing I really want to get across is that, like, I really never want to play a campaign from Call of Duty like this again. I hope that's not the case, because like I do look forward to the campaigns every year, and this is traumatizing to say the least, from like a narrative perspective, like a styling perspective. Like, the idea of just everything being shoved into Warzone is it's a nightmare, honestly. Warzone has had a hugely negative effect on the overall, you know, franchise of Call of Duty, in my opinion. Like, it's taken the series in ways and directions that it really shouldn't have. Like, it's actually quite bizarre, because it's just like the levels that they did make in this that aren't ripped from Warzone are actually pretty cool levels. Honestly. They really are. And then, like, that's only like a couple of them. And they're not really long. Like, it's weird. It's like they're just hitting the same sort of lazy beats and then not really doing anything with them creatively or different. And it's like, those creative beats are cool, and, you know, that's why we love COD, is like those certain big moments. But like, they feel hastily ripped out of the other games, as opposed to them doing like a new twist or anything. And then you kind of string those together with the open missions that are like, ugh, never can get in there. You know, are just kind of like these awful missions that don't really make you know, they're just like really, really poorly put together. And it just creates this combination of torture, pain, and chaos that I can't even really get across to you. And it's just awful. It's not a fun time. I really don't get what they were going for with this one. Other than I understand that they were probably pressured to like, you know, get this out the door really fast, and they didn't have the time that they typically do for these Call of Duty games, but like she's rough. She's really, really rough, and it's disappointing, and it's like I don't honestly I have like very limited expectations for Call of Duty campaigns in the modern era. They used to you know, they used to be groundbreaking things, and they're not these days, and I accept it for what it is. But like, this is probably by far the worst they've ever done, and that is just an absolute shame because it's short, it's boring. Like I really didn't even actually really want to finish because I was like, this is just horrendous, and I feel like you don't get your value out of it. But on the Xbox One, as I've said, and I think I've gotten it across, you know, where's the grenade icon? It doesn't. The grenade icon didn't even load on my screen. Like where the direction of the grenade was, if you look there, it didn't even show where it was coming. So that's great. Yeah, it's not the best way to experience this, but if you do want to play it, it is still functional. It's just like you're going to have to contend with some performance issues. You're going to have to contend with like some graphical issues. I know we'll probably still see like, I don't know, another COD or two that are still on the Xbox One. Wow, that guy smoked me. And it's like, I'm sure it'll continue to get like worse and worse. I do ponder at one point we'll get to like the segment where it's kind of like, you know, they did the whole, I don't know if you guys remember that for the 360 when we moved to Xbox One, but the 360 era got a few CODs that were just multiplayer only. I guess the smarter thing, honestly, would be to provide, and, you know, now that Xbox owns them, this is what they typically do, is they provide cloud versions to be played instead of, you know, the native Xbox One version. I wonder if they'll maybe do that. There's also a lot of the legality about how cloud and everything got split up. Obviously, for like rights and that, for how the cloud stuff is owned, like because Ubisoft has ownership over cloud rights in COD in particular regions and whatnot. But I think we'll probably get to a certain point where it's like, I think that would be a preferred offering, would actually be to stream, like because the quality would be higher. That makes sense, assuming you have the connectivity for it. And it's just like, I'm wondering how much longer they're actually going to be able to, like, you know, use this console for playing these campaigns. Because, like, the hardware was outdated when this released by a bit. Like the original, like the Xbox One when it actually released. And I'm using, like, the OG Xbox One. I got the gloss, I got the shine. It's a glorified stand for my 360 and PS5. But, like, you know, the question I think is, like, really legitimate is, like, how much longer can you push this and still have an experience that's, like, okay? And it's like, we've got this terrible combination of a game that's not great, campaign-wise or story-wise, with, like, you know, issues and stuff like that. I really wish, you know, I should actually probably overlay it a bit with, like, the fact that, like, the audience, where they didn't have, like, their arms loading and stuff. It was so fun. Like, I actually got such a good chuckle out of that when I was seeing... Where did that even... I guess the grenade got me from the other side of the table. I was just like, wow, you know, like, none of the people that are running towards me have any hands. Or, like, it's their whole arms were basically, like, just missing. It was just a comical situation. I was genuinely finding it funny. So anyways, Modern Warfare 3. You know, maybe the campaign is like, but, you know, perhaps the multiplayer might hit for you and might resonate as something enjoyable, because I think that's what a lot of people, you know, buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 or, you know, any of the Call of Duties for. But I just wanted to showcase this one, talk about it, and then kind of present it, because, you know, I had it open, I was doing comparison stuff, so I thought it might be worthwhile to, like, present it to you guys and talk about it and give some thoughts on it and showcase the game in action on this platform. Just so you get a bit of a taste and an understanding of it in case you are one of those campaign players. But the multiplayer, yeah, maybe it'll be for you. You know, if you like the nostalgia Modern Warfare 2 maps from the original, those are all back, and you might, you know, enjoy what it has to offer for you.